tonight in Flushing. Matt Harvey and Stephen Strasburg, round one, next. The Mets are back in New York after their frigid trip to Minneapolis and Colorado. Temperate temperatures for this matchup tonight. You know, ever since he was a sophomore at San Diego State, Stephen Strasburg has been the anointed one, the young pitcher that all other young hard throwers are measured by. Matt Harvey, just 13 starts into his major league career, is trying to match and maybe exceed Strasburg. But they've got a long way to go before they equal some of the greats of the past. From Feller to Gibson to some greats who have graced the Flushing mounds. From Ryan to Seaver and then on to Gooden. And now to the greats of today, some of the best hard throwers in the game who have etched their names at the top of the leaderboards. Verlander, Kershaw, Price, and now Harvey and Strasburg meet tonight. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Washington Nationals. Friday Night Baseball is presented by Time Warner Cable. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling will join us in just a moment as the Mets open a three-game series against the Washington Nationals. And the marquee matchup tonight, Matt Harvey, in his fourth start of the year, has been as dominant as any pitcher in baseball so far this season against Stephen Strasburg, who is looked at as the great hope of pitching in baseball. It's the first time these division rivals will face each other this year, and these two guys will face each other for the first time.
Well, as a fan, I always look forward to these kind of matchups. What's unusual is that they're so young. Matt Harvey has just been dominant. The word on him was in the minor leagues that he was wild. Well, he hasn't been wild. He is just a power pitcher out of the same vein as Tom Seaver, the razor blade slider. Right there, as you just see, the high fastball upstairs that he throws, and command of all of his pitches. And on the other side, from Washington, Stephen Strasburg, who's struggling a little bit, a good ERA 1-2 record right now. He's got more of a curveball fastball pitcher, throws bullets, and he mixes in a changeup. I think they're both power pitchers, but their stuff is uniquely different. I think that Harvey has more of that hard power stuff predominantly, where I think Strasburg maybe throws a little bit more changeups, but they're both tremendous power pitchers.
Of course, the Nationals are the defending champs of the National League East. 98 wins last year, the favorite to win the National League in many quarters. And it's not just Strasburg, of course. They have the other great young star in Bryce Harper, who Matt Harvey will have to get out tonight.
Well, Harper's hitting .364, top 10 in hitting, 5 home runs. That's in the top 10. He is just off to a hot start, Rookie of the Year last year. That'll be the big guy for Harper to get out in this lineup.
Well, while we sit here up in the booth, Ron Darling is down in the bullpen, and he is watching as Matt Harvey gets ready for tonight's start.
Well, thanks a lot, Gary. I hope you're thawed out from yesterday. You know, this is the first time I've ever been in the bullpen where all the picnic tables behind Matt Harvey today are packed with people who cheered when he got to the mound today. So that was pretty cool. Terry Collins talked about Matt today and said he came to the ballpark a little grumpy today. Grumpy pitchers, he said, are pitchers that are a little tense. So he wanted him to relax and just execute tonight. What I love about Harvey is that he's got this routine between 6 and 6:30. He gets himself ready with the trainers and the strength and conditioning coaches. They really go through stretching his arm, stretching his legs. Then he comes out, runs a few sprints, gets to 6:45, throws soft toss for 5 minutes, long toss for 5 minutes, and then really gets in the bulk of throwing those 98-mile-an-hour fastballs, curveballs, and then really replicating how he's going to pitch through that first part of the lineup for the Washington Nationals. I hear all the time when you're facing another good pitcher, and he will be today, one of the best in Stephen Strasburg, that you don't really think about the other pitcher. Baloney. They are throwing next to each other. They're playing burnout at about 98 miles an hour, and they're both going to be ready for this game. Back to you, Gary.
All right, Ronnie. Matt Harvey aspires to be the best pitcher in the game. Tonight, he gets himself a pretty good measuring stick in Stephen Strasburg. The Mets and the Nationals meeting for the first time this year at Citi Field, where it's over freezing. Thank goodness. All the action coming your way tonight on SNY. Penn preparing for his start tonight here at Citi Field. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Watch even more sports on more screens in the house with Time Warner Cable Sports Pass, the best value in sports. Call 1-800-TW-CABLE. By AT NYN, rethink possible. By Nissan, choose Nissan today for great offers on the most innovative lineup ever. Shop at choosenissan.com. By Geico. By Cholula Hot Sauce, the flavorful hot sauce with the iconic wooden cap. And by Dodge, visit Dodge.com or your local Dodge dealer today. Matt Harvey came within 7 outs of a no-hitter in his last start. Now another test for him as he faces off against the Nationals and Steven Strasburg. First pitch coming up from Citi Field.
Well, here's Matt Harvey's stats presented by Caesars Atlantic City. If you look at his career, 2 remarkable stats. Only 48 hits given up in 81 2/3 innings, and a 2.21 ERA.
Denard Span will lead things off against Harvey. Span, who came over from Minnesota, hitting at .313. And Matt Harvey's first pitch of the night is a fastball in for a strike at 96 miles an hour.
Shows you right there he's a little pumped up. We've seen him in his starts maybe around 93, 94 early.
Is that necessarily a bad thing for him to be overly pumped for this start? And he gets the breaking ball over for a strike.
I think that's our answer there. A hammer right off the bat. I don't think so. What you have, Gary, he's got that extra day's rest because of the weather you guys have. But that's as good a curveball as we've seen all season long.
Hasn't been throwing his curve all that much. But now he's ahead on Span 0-2. Jason Worth and Bryce Harper to follow for the Nationals. And the fastball gets him at 99 miles an hour. Pumped up? You bet. 3 pitches, sit down.
Don't want to get crazy, but this is overmatching a hitter. Fastball away, that feeble swing.
Here's your Hyundai Nationals starting lineup. The Nats 9-6 to begin the year. No Ryan Zimmerman. He's got a hamstring problem. No Danny Espinosa. He has a bruised hand. And so Chad Tracy and Steve Lombardozzi in the lineup tonight, along with the rest of the usual suspects. Here's Jason Worth. Worth hitting at .288. Missed half of last year with a wrist injury. And Harvey misses high at 97. So he is throwing much harder early in this game than we're accustomed to seeing Matt throw. He has averaged this year 94.3 with his fastball. And overthrows that one, and it's 2-0 to Worth.
look at the defense set up on Worth here, but playing him like a pull hitter in left field and shading to the opposite field, Valdespin in center. So Worth does go that way. It's amazing. It's a big gap in left center field.
And that fastball crackles in for a strike, 2-1.
Keith, do you ever think because the guy's throwing 95 plus that you will play the outfielders pertaining to how hard he's throwing?
And also, I think two factors is Worth goes that way well. I would give Worth the left field line, and that's going to be a double anyway, and take away his gap.
You know, we've talked a lot about defensive positioning this year, and for the most part, it has not been contingent on who's been on the mound. Maybe that's changing. 3-1 coming to Worth. And he throws a fastball right by him, 3-2.
Yes, he did.
Well, the first time that Jason Worth faced Matt Harvey, he took him for 450 feet for a home run in a spring training game a year ago. This is a new pitcher now.
3-2. And it's too high, ball 4. So Harvey throwing a 3-2 slider, and Worth is aboard.
And we'll take a look at the Mets Alexis defense. And you can see that's the second fewest in double play. Something the Mets struggled with last year. Tejada's back in the warmth. I look for him to recover with the 6 errors he's made this season.
64 degrees at game time tonight. A far cry from the 28 in Denver yesterday.
I wouldn't have wanted a field in that weather.
Well, here's Bryce Harper. Off to a roaring start after his Rookie of the Year season last year. Hitting at .364. 5 home runs, 11 driven in. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Harper, all of 20 years old now, has already burnished his legend by going 4 for 5 the other night while suffering from the flu and vomiting between innings.
We're talking about these young pitchers. He's 4 years younger.
If there's one area of vulnerability that Bryce Harper has had, it has been against the hardest throwers.
Well, he's got a little bit of a long swing, and it makes him a good breaking ball hitter, Gary. But he's got an unusual swing. But it works for him.
See if Harvey goes all fastballs here with Harper. He's ahead of him 0-2. And he just got a piece of that one. Mark Simon of ESPN ran some numbers on Harper against the hardest throwers, the 95 plus guys, starters and relievers. He's 2 for 33 in his career.
You know what that's from? That's from spending a lifetime hitting against guys who can't throw hard, and they just feature breaking ball after breaking ball. When he was a young person, that's all he ever faced.
So Harvey's thrown him 3 monstrous fastballs in a row, and then he goes to the breaking ball and he gets the ground ball. The flip to Harvey, and that's the second out as Worth moves up.
Well, nice pitch sequence here by Harvey. Goes right after him with the fastball for strike 1, then throws that one right by him. Good job by Harper trying to get on top of that one. He counters with a curveball down. Nice pitch.
That was just completely in command of that at bat. Harper was. He just dictated. I'm sorry, not Harper. Harvey. That's a tongue tire right there.
Good day.
Now Adam LaRoche coming off a terrific year last year, but off to a slow start this season. Last year won the Silver Slugger, won the Gold Glove, hit 33 home runs, drove in 100. Worth at second and 2 down. And the Mets put on a modified shift against LaRoche.
And LaRoche has got a long swing here, and I wouldn't throw him anything off speed. Let him catch up to it by throwing 97.
And Harvey gets it over for a strike. Well, we mentioned the average fastball velocity, 94.3. He has outdone that by quite a margin here in the first inning.
And the sleeper all the time is Jordan Zimmerman. Makes that list, and no one ever talks about him.
Jose Fernandez got his first loss last night. There's the changeup from Harvey. Ball and a strike.
You know, Ronnie, he mixes in his changeup sparingly, and he gets it to run away from left-handers, but he doesn't miss over the plate.
He tries to bounce it, I think, just to show them another pitch.
And he runs one inside to LaRoche. 2-1.
This is a little departure for Harvey for you guys. You did the game in Minnesota. most of the games he's come out really fastball, maybe slider. That's it. He's throwing the kitchen sink here in the first inning. Unusual for his fourth start.
Held the Twins without a hit for 6 2/3 in his last start before Justin Morneau broke it up with a home run. He allowed just 2 hits in 8 innings. And it's up and in. It's 3-1.
Well, I think the game plan coming in was this fastball, I think, was in and a little up. Maybe not up, but I think in.
Didn't miss by much.
Oh, boy.
That's a close one.
A lot closer than I thought it was. You know, coming into this game, Dan Watson does the game plan. Obviously, John Buck is thinking that this is a good fastball hitting team. You have to mix in all your pitches.
Now behind 3-1. And he challenges LaRoche, who fouls it off.
By the way, I don't agree with that. I think Harvey is above this pay scale. If he has his good stuff, 2 pitches is fine through the first time through the lineup.
Well, especially if you come out with as electric a fastball as he clearly has tonight.
Well, what makes his fastball electric, Ronnie, I think you'll agree, is that he can throw it like Seaver, and that's upstairs with that life on it.
Three-two. Lined right to Murphy. Side retire. Mets had the defense positioned perfectly for LaRoche. And Harvey throws a hitless first inning. Strasburg going to the mound. Lucas Duda was a late decision. He's in there after missing the last 2 games with some stiffness in his lower back. Jordani Valdespin gets another start in center field as the Mets get their 4th crack at Steven Strasburg.
Well, here's the Toyota numbers for Strasburg. An outstanding season last year. 15-6, 3.16, and 197 Ks and 159 innings.
And shut down the last part of the season.
Controversially, and might have cost the Nats a chance to go deeper into the postseason. Jordani Valdespin will lead it off. 6th start for Valdespin, back in center field tonight after starting his last 2 in right and left in Colorado. Didn't look comfortable either one of those spots. And Strasburg starts him off with a fastball for a strike. Valdespin, Murphy, and Wright to try and get the Mets started after a dreadful series in Colorado. Not just the weather, but the way the Mets played for 3 games. They need to get righted, and what better way than with a 9-game homestand beginning tonight. Valdespin pulls one down the line, a foul ball.
Well, it's interesting. You see Buck and Harvey talking about that inning. Harvey's got that kind of Jack Nicholson shining smile on his face, doesn't he? But, you know, they're going over the, you know, do they think that inning was successful? I thought they threw too many breaking pitches personally.
0-2 from Strasburg, and Valdespin takes low and away. So that sinking changeup from Strasburg has been getting a lot more ground balls early this season. Fewer strikeouts than is his norm. And I'm wondering, Ronnie, from what you've seen from Strasburg this year, is that by design or not?
I don't think it's by design. I just think he's using that pitch more than he has in the past. He's trying to make an adjustment, get guys off his fastball, and they're putting it in play, Gary. What happened the first year or so when he was pitching? They swung and missed at that pitch, did not put it in play.
Strasburg is 8 months older than Matt Harvey, but has 35 more starts under his belt in the big leagues. And another changeup grounded to short and booted by Ian Desmond. And the Nationals, who've made the most errors of any team in the National League, make one to start the first inning.
Well, Desmond has come a long way with his glove here, and the speed of Valdespin makes him come in and field this ball on the run. Now, I never you can get in front of it and use your two hands. When you field it on the run like that, you're forced to be a one-handed all-star, and a bad ball comes up. There you have it, E6.
I think it's the philosophy of fielding, Keith. You know, 30, 40 years ago, you saw Bud Harrelson make that play. It would be two hands and a flip sidearm.
6th error of the year for Desmond, tying him with Ruben Tejada for the most among big league shortstops. And Daniel Murphy takes a fastball wide. Murphy at 352 for the year.
And Murph clean shaven. I saw him on the airplane. I said, what did you shave it off for?
It's hot, right?
Well, that beard had hits in it.
Got out of the cold. Got to get ready for the summer game. It's in the 60s.
Murph got married, didn't he? Maybe that's what it is.
He looks a lot younger.
He does.
Now, if Justin Turner were to shave, that would be a big story. Strasburg behind on Murphy 2-0, and Murphy fouls off the fastball.
Take a look at the National Coors Light D. And without the LaRoche won his Gold Glove there. It's beautiful. But Zimmerman over there is also a Gold Glover. He's out of lineup with a hamstring. And you can also, Lombardozzi's playing second base. Espinosa's out. So a little dinged up, these Nationals.
Good high fastball by Strasburg, 2-2. Well, you talk about Zimmerman. He is a Gold Glove caliber fielder, but big problems this year with his throwing, and right now sitting with a hamstring injury.
Well, you know, he had shoulder surgery, so he's trying to find, really, Davey Johnson said, trying to find that proper arm slot to make that throw.
Strasburg has not had a history of holding runners well, and the Mets, I would think, are going to try and test him in this series.
Well, whenever you face two good pitchers, and it might be decided by one run might decide it, you want to kind of push the envelope.
In his career, Strasburg has had 22 stolen base attempts. 19 have been successful. Very high success rate of 86%.
I think if you're the Mets, you're just trying to fight to get a run on the board for your talented pitcher.
Valdespin 2 steals this year, and Murph takes a pitch just off the corner, and it's 3-2.
You got to send Valdespin now. Murph doesn't strike out. Good 2-strike hitter.
The lefties have done pretty well against Strasburg so far this year. 258, better than you would expect. 3-2. Valdespin runs, and Murphy has a base hit. Valdespin will go first to third, and the Mets have the table set in the opening inning. First and third, and nobody out.
He didn't need the beard, Keith.
Well, he got a swing and a miss. You see the defense right here. No one vacates because it's 3-2. That ball just hit in the hole. The ball was down the strike zone. That was Strasburg's mistake. He blew one by Murph upstairs. Murph's a low ball hitter, and he remains raging hot. He has just been on fire.
Now David Wright, who had 5 RBIs in the 3 games in Colorado. 8 for 14 with runners in scoring position to begin the year. So David starting the season the way he did last year. And the first pitch curveball misses from Strasburg. Ball 1. See David's numbers against Strasburg, just 1 for 6. And that one goes to the backstop, and here comes Valdespin. The throw is too late, and the Mets take the early lead. A wild pitch from Strasburg, and the Mets lead it 1-0.
It looks like Strasburg is the one that's fired up and can't dial it down.
See Valdespin faking down the line right before Strasburg threw that pitch, and then he gets to trot the rest of the way. So the error opens the door, and the Mets have a run home. 2-0 to right, and David flies one out to right field. Jason Worth is there. Murphy tagging at second. He's going to try and advance, and Worth's throw, close play, safe. Good aggressive base running by Murphy, and he gets to third with 1 out.
Well, a very good arm out and right for Worth, but he didn't really get himself in a great position to get a lot of momentum, to get enough on that throw. And again, Mets very aggressive on the bases this season.
And Murphy especially.
Yes.
I mean, every pitch in the dirt, every chance to take an extra base. He's been front and center early this year. It's one of the reasons he scored 15 runs, which is tied for second in the National League. So now Ike Davis will try and get him in.
We have seen managers bring the infield in early, not Davey Johnson.
Interesting, isn't it? You're facing Matt Harvey, who's given up practically nothing this year. You're already down by a run, and you don't bring the infield in.
I was a bit surprised. I mean, I can't second guess it, but you might want to play your middle infielders halfway.
Davis pulls off the changeup. And it's 1-1.
You know, Keith, I will second guess it. I think that if you've been watching Harvey, how he's been pitching, I'm not saying he's going to do it tonight, but I like your call. Halfway at least. If you get a bullet in one hop, you might have a play at the plate.
Well, Strasburg in a spot where he could use a strikeout. Now he's ahead in the count, 1-2.
You know, watching Ike guys, watching you guys on the road, you know, Keith, you addressed what ball away, but I think the other thing is nothing worse for a hitter than being in between, late on the fastball and a little early on the breaking pitches.
Well, it's all because he's lunging. He's doing the same thing he did last year in the first half.
And he goes down swinging on the changeup. So Strasburg has his way with Davis, and that's the second out. And Ike's starting to hear some boos.
Nope. Fastball just misses first pitch, and a changeup. 1-1. Now fastball upstairs, away, everything away, then a sinking change. So everything out of the strike zone too.
So 2 out. Murphy's still at third, and now John Buck, whose bat has cooled down after his raging hot start. Just 2 for his last 16. Still tied for the National League lead in RBIs with 19. Trying to pick up Murphy from third with 2 out, and he takes the curveball outside. Buck 2 for 9 against Strasburg. Of course, he's played in the National League East the last couple of years, and that certainly helps in the game planning for the Mets tonight with Harvey against the Nationals. Line drive left field, base hit for Buck. Big 2-out hit for John Buck as Murphy comes in, and it's 2-0 New York. 20th RBI of the season for John Buck.
And attacking in the strike zone early again, Gare. You'd think that they would know this. Fastball right down the middle. Inner half, down. Boy, don't throw it by him. He got the barrel out and squared it up.
You know, I was thinking today that a lot of these pitchers in the National League have been facing Buck, and they say this guy batted 180. He was an easy out every time up last year. I'm challenging him, and they paid for it in April here.
So 2 runs are in, and now Duda, who tested his back during pregame drills today, pronounced himself good to go after his back tightened up in the cold weather in Colorado on Tuesday.
20th RBI for Mr. Buck.
That leads the National League. Duda 6th in the National League in on-base percentage. Thrown a lot of walks early in the season.
I don't like Strasburg throwing all these changeups. Somebody get too cute,
especially the first time through the lineup.
You know, you're tearing everybody up with your power pitching, and now you got to get a third pitch and overuse it, and it's really your third pitch.
If you're going to throw a changeup to anybody, it would have been Buck, who's been on everybody's fastball early in the season.
For me, a game plan is very important. But if I'm going through the first time through the order, I'm just trying to keep it simple, keep it down, go after the hitters. You know, when you get guys second, third time up with RBI situations, then you might think of it. Kurt Suzuki, the talented catcher for Washington, has been a great addition since coming over last year. Fastball in.
And he misses up with it, and now he's behind on Duda 3-1 with Marlon Byrd on deck. So a hard-working first inning for Strasburg. And with innings and pitch counts so large in Strasburg's past, they've allowed him a little more freedom lately. In fact, he's gone over 110 pitches twice already this season, something he did only once all of last year.
His fastball's up a little, and also he looks a little uncomfortable from the stretch. A lot different pitcher than he was from the windup so far for Strasburg.
Now 3-2 to Duda. Buck will take off, and Duda fouls it back. Well, the error made by Desmond on that leadoff grounder by Valdespin looming large in this inning. In Strasburg's last start, he worked 6 innings against the Braves and gave up 2 unearned runs.
A big error by LaRoche in that game.
They have been plagued by their infield defense. It hasn't just been Zimmerman. Again, the 3-2, and Duda hits it out to center field, chasing Span back to the warning track, and he'll have room right in front of the wall to make the catch. 407 feet away. Duda with the long fly ball to end it, but the Mets cash a pair. Desmond with the error. Murphy with the base hit. The wild pitch brings in one, and Buck plates the other. 2-0 Mets after one. Join the millions of fans and subscribe today. Watch every out-of-market game live online on your favorite mobile and connected devices in HD quality with MLB.TV Premium. Visit MLB.TV today. MLB.TV, baseball everywhere. Here's your Coors Light Cold Hard Facts, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. First pitcher in modern Major League history, that's since 1900, to win his first 3 starts, strike out at least 25, and give up 6 hits or fewer.
No, I love that, Gary. First in history.
I mean, it's 113 years we're talking about. It's a lot of history.
It's incredible that only 6 hits in 22 innings. 23 now.
Ian Desmond, who made the error that led to 2 unearned runs, takes a strike. Desmond, who had a terrific year last year, Silver Slugger winner for shortstops in the National League. He has been in the Nats organization longer than anybody. Drafted originally by the Expos before there were even
right.
Nats back in 2004.
Well, that's nothing compared to where the Mets have been this last road trip.
It's a little mist blowing through the ballpark. There's rain in the forecast for later. And the curveball from Harvey is fouled off, and it's 1-2.
I thought I had turned on Ice Station Zebra when I was watching you guys yesterday.
Looking for Rock Hudson?
Well, you ably can play the part of Rock. You've got that swashbuckling attitude.
You thought Rock was a swashbuckler? He was more of a good-looking.
He was, but he had that in him.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of like you. You've got that suppressed fire.
I think it's more suave and debonair, maybe.
Okay.
Let's refocus on the game.
2-2 to Desmond with Tracy and Lombardozzi to follow. Thanks, Keith. Desmond hitting a .310 on the year, and he goes after the high fastball, and he's down on strikes. Second strikeout for Harvey.
And Ronnie, this is what Seaver had. This is up higher, but it's just tough to lay off.
Well, they have to get it started so early. They see it up around letter high, and they cannot stop their swing.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Chad Tracy getting the start with Ryan Zimmerman on the sidelines with a bit of a hamstring issue. The veteran Tracy, now 32 years old, 2 for 15 to start the year. And he takes the fastball high. Well, last year the Nats had the best record in the major leagues, won 98 games, won the National League East, and you see all the things they accomplished. What they didn't accomplish was getting out of the first round of the playoffs, as they blew a 6-run lead in their last game against the Cardinals. And you can certainly look back at Strasburg not pitching in that series and make the case that had he been there, it might have gone differently. There's a call strike, 1-2 to Tracy.
Well, he missed with the fastball, came back with a get me over curve, and then that changeup that started right at Tracy and back over the plate.
Now the 1-2. And he just missed with that fastball, 2-2.
You saw that shot of Strasburg. I'll tell you, when you're facing a good pitcher, guys, you're watching him, and you are quietly going, boy, he's got some good stuff. You don't say it out loud because the hitters will kill you. But you're admiring what he's doing.
Struck him out. High heat from Harvey to get first Desmond and now Tracy. 2 men down.
Well, guys with the good fastballs, the great fastballs, you can pitch it upstairs.
And that, my friends, is a Cholula hot sauce flamethrower. Dial it up to 98. He's already hit 99 tonight. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Steve Lombardozzi filling in for Danny Espinosa at second base, and he's done a nice job so far. And the switch hitter takes a fastball for a strike.
Lombardozzi has been making like Wally Pipp out there at second base.
We've seen him do this before. Little pop up and foul ground. A dominant second inning for Matt Harvey. 2 strikeouts and a weak pop up. He hasn't allowed a hit in the first 2 innings of any game so far this year. It was a hard-working first inning for Steven Strasburg. 28 pitches, couple of unearned runs against him. Lower third of the order, Marlon Byrd leads off the home second for New York. Marlon had a good road trip. Last 4 games, 6 runs batted in. Hitting a .267 for the season. Byrd, Tejada, and Harvey to bat for the Mets against Strasburg. Line toward left center, a base hit for Byrd. That'll go up the gap and all the way to the wall. And Byrd pulls in at second base with a leadoff double. The Mets have hit some balls very hard against Strasburg early in this game.
Well, Marlon's a low ball hitter. This is down the middle. Right down the middle, and he covers it nicely. Marlon has been doing a very nice job, had a great spring training, and is carrying it through in April here.
So he has his 3rd double of the year, and the Mets have another scoring chance here in the second as Tejada comes up. Ruben has had more at bats with runners in scoring position than any Met. 17 at bats already through the first 14 games, and he's hitting .353 with runners in scoring position. And this is one of those things that I just don't understand. Why would you play your third baseman on the grass here?
You just took the words out of my mouth. I just noticed Tracy playing in. You got the pitcher up next. He's not going to bunt.
I'm telling you, throughout the league, for whatever reason, they think Tejada can run and bunt.
And he never bunts.
That's right.
And yet somebody's scouting report says he does. The curveball from Strasburg, and a good one, had him buckled, and it's 0-2.
Strasburg hasn't found it yet. His command. That curveball was sharp, but it was up and over the middle. It just started out at Tejada's shoulder, and he buckled. It's that sharp a breaking ball.
Fly ball out to right field. Byrd will tag. Worth makes the catch, and Byrd trying to advance. Worth's throw comes in wide, and for the second time in 2 innings, the Mets able to advance on a fly ball to Worth in right field. Well, this is a much anticipated matchup for everybody, including the Nats manager Davey Johnson, talking about his pitcher Steven Strasburg.
Look, Strauss is so driven to be as good as he can be. It doesn't matter who he's pitching against or who you're comparing him to. He always is a perfectionist on the mound. That's just him. He's still in the learning stages. He's in the learning stages, seeing how the strike zone, seeing how hitters react to his stuff, and that's always, he hasn't really had a full year in the big leagues yet, and so he's just getting his feet on the ground. And I like where he's at, but the best is yet to come.
Now he faces Matt Harvey with the infield in, and he gets Harvey to chase one. Matt, look at those career numbers at the plate. .292. He's 1 for 6 this year. That's interesting what Davey says, because Strasburg made 12 starts his rookie year. Then he had the Tommy John surgery. Made 5 starts the next year, and then last year they shut him down before he could pitch a full season.
I don't remember Davey calling me a perfectionist with so much love. I thought it was a little, but he's right. Strasburg is he has a chance. He's got all the pitches, like Davey said, just learning how to pitch.
Harvey bounces one foul. It's interesting, though, when you think about these 2 pitchers and how they got to this point. Strasburg, from the time he was a sophomore at San Diego State, everybody knew this guy was going to be the first pick in the draft. He was considered a once-in-a-generation starting pitcher. And so far around the injury, he has fulfilled that promise, and with much more to come. In Harvey's case, it's different, though. Matt has had to fight perceptions at times that maybe he wasn't a top of the rotation type starter. That happened in high school. It happened again in college, and even when he was in AAA last year, as he fights that pitch off. There were some people saying, this guy's good, but he's not great. And I think that Matt has really approached every start trying to get to the point that everybody considered Strasburg to be at.
Well, Terry Collins said when Harvey came up last year, he wanted to be the best pitcher on his team. He was the best pitcher on his team.
I like that Doc has already tried to hang the nickname on Matt Harvey, calling him the real deal.
The real deal, nice.
Probably figured he had a nickname. He was Dr. K. That Harvey should have a nickname too.
He's not in Euchre's seats.
7th pitch of the at bat, and Harvey waves and strikes out. Second strikeout for Strasburg. Of course, Doc Gooden began his rookie year in the major leagues, and that's what he did through his first 13 starts, matched up against what Harvey has, and the numbers are pretty similar.
Yeah.
Doc went 17-9 that first season in 1984.
I was saying that Matt Harvey, when he came up last year, wanted to be the best pitcher on this Mets team. He came into this season, Terry Collins said he wanted to be the best pitcher in the league. He's just driven, and I think some of his bravado and confidence that we love at this level was not always treated with the same look when you're in AAA or AA.
Sure. I mean, it's great to have bravado, but at some point you have to back it up.
I don't know if bravado is the right word. I don't sense that from him. He's just very serious in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
He's very businesslike.
But there's a confidence to him.
Yeah, of
he
course.
knows he's good, and he wants to be the best.
I don't think that I don't get the impression he's cocky.
No. That's
my impression is that he believes in himself.
I guess the point I was trying to make, it wasn't bravado, it's the wrong word. Sometimes when you're in the minor leagues and you walk around like I belong in the major leagues, people start looking at you like, yeah, you do? Well, maybe not. And he always felt it.
Even last spring training, when he was told there was no chance for him to make the club, he didn't take that at face value at all. This time Suzuki able to stop a potential wild pitch. Mets have already scored a run on a wild pitch tonight. The other thing, I go back to last spring training after Harvey was sent down and the Mets played the Nats and Strasburg was pitching, and Harvey was sitting in the 3rd row watching Strasburg,
probably
measuring himself,
saying, you know what, that's where I want to be. Let me watch a guy that's already at that level.
He's watching him now.
He's really watching Valdespin, hoping for a 2-out hit. That's what he's watching.
Valdespin reached on an error, scored a run in the 1st. Trying to pick up Bird from 3rd with 2 out, which is what Buck did back in the 1st inning. And Strasburg misses up and away, 2-2. The quality of Valdespin's at bats have been something to watch early this season.
He's earned his place in the starting lineup. I just think too many changeups, Ronnie, when you've got a great curveball as your secondary pitch.
Well, what's interesting to me is of those changeups, how many have been taken by the Mets? That's an interesting to watch, that kind of phenomenon. When he first came up, everybody was swinging at that changeup.
Other than Ike Davis, everybody's been able to lay off so far tonight.
Now he's 3-2.
Bird at 3rd and 2 out, and Valdespin goes down on the changeup, and that retires the side. 3rd strikeout for Strasburg. 2-0 New York after 2. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by the Hospital for Special Surgery. One of the things that has characterized Matt Harvey's season so far has been how unhittable his fastball has been. You see what he's done in the first 2 innings. But his swing and miss rate against his fastball is so off the charts. And I'm wondering, Ronnie, is it face value? Is it just that he has that hop on his fastball, or is there something else going on here?
Well, I think, you know, it's unusual high. It's around 40%, right, Gary? I think
40%. Nobody else in baseball is higher than 25%.
Yeah, like the number for most of baseball is probably in the 15s or in the teens.
Kurt Suzuki takes a strike.
I think it's a combination of a couple things. He's faced some teams that are challenged offensively. He's pitched in some really cold weather here against San Diego and in Minnesota. But he also, like Keith said, he's got that extra gear upstairs, and you're not going to make contact on that. The only one who's had this game so far is Bryce Harper.
I've got one thing to add to it, too. Let's face it now.
I mean, look at that chart. That's just, it's phenomenal how far he is in front of everybody else.
Let's also look on the fact that this is his 14th career start, correct?
Right.
Hitters haven't seen him yet, and the stuff is exceptional, extraordinary. So let's keep an eye on it as he goes around the league. Everybody kind of gets to face him, and okay, he's a great pitcher, but you start to go, okay, this is how I got to attack him. Right now, people are feeling him out, and it's extraordinary stuff. And that's why I think he's been so overwhelming.
I think you make a point, Keith. What if they start laying off that high fastball after 10 starts? That'll be the adjustment that Matt will have to make. Maybe they won't. Maybe they won't.
You witnessed Doc Gooden, who also made a living in part with his high fastball. Did they ever stop laying off that?
No, they did not.
Suzuki lifts it out to center field, and Valdespin is there waiting. 1 out.
Ronnie, what I found very extraordinary of composure and maturity, and I'm sure you were watching when he lost the no-no in Minnesota with the home run. Like it never phased him.
It's like it was a good pitch. He had a good pitch. That's how it goes.
That was impressive.
Yep.
And it was a good pitch, right?
It was a good pitch.
Here's Strasburg, 0 for 4 this year, and he slugs one toward the right field line. Bird on the run. He won't get there, and it bounds by him and into the corner. Strasburg heads to second, and he'll be in standing with a 1-out double. So that's the first hit given up by Matt Harvey. It goes to the opposing pitcher.
So how about that? So the pitcher can come in and go, come on, guys. This guy's easy.
So no 7th inning drama today. So the Nats have their first hit, and here's Denard Span, who was overmatched on 3 pitches and struck out his first time up. It's not that cold.
Oh, by the way, put the coat on. Let's go.
I like this Met uniform.
So Strasburg at second and 1 out. Here's Span. And he takes the fastball for ball 1. This is the Morneau home run from last Saturday. That broke up the no-hit bid. Right off the screen attached to the foul pole.
I mean, it was in. It wasn't down and in. No. It was kind of a thigh high and in.
A cutter. A little slide blade. Sometimes you got to tip your hat to the hitter.
Span hits it out to center. Should be easy for Valdespin. Ball's carrying tonight, isn't it?
I tell you what, the ball's been carrying throughout baseball. I just wanted the balls a little extra wound, a little tighter this year.
I mean, the ball that Duda hit in the first inning seemed to fool Span a little bit, and he had to make a little hop at the wall to catch it. Of course, the wind is blowing pretty hard right now. It's blowing mostly out, so that might have something to do with it as well. So 2 out. Strasburg still at second, and Jason Worth taking his sweet time coming up to the plate. Worth threw a walk his first time up. Harvey's walked 1. He struck out 3, which for the season makes it 7 walks and 28 strikeouts. He'll take that 4-to-1 ratio any day.
Well, when you see his motion, very simple, and that's what you want for a big guy, but unusually long stride, especially on that curveball there. And straight follow through in fielding position.
You see so many power pitchers who wind up with their back turned to the plate, not in position to field a ground ball.
And it shows you that he has great balance and he throws without having to max out. That's why he ends up in that good position. The thing about Harvey is that, you know, usually on your breaking ball you want a little shorter stride, but he has a way of kind of pushing off and kind of elevating off his back leg and gets that great kind of angle top to bottom that makes that curveball so sharp. Look at this.
Quite the beard. A little trimmer these days. One, two, line, foul.
So one of the most important things that you learn when you pitch is you see this ball just foul, smoked down that left field line. Harvey's behind the mound. What is he thinking? Okay, Buck called for a fastball up. I threw it up. He smoked it down the left field line. That's got to tell me that he's sitting on that fastball. A breaking pitch is the way to go, or higher.
Double up on it. Worse a guess hitter anyway. I think he might be looking for that curve. That's the cat and mouse of the
breaking ball, strike three call. Nasty slider from Harvey gets Worth looking for his fourth strikeout.
Ouch.
2-0 Mets. Third. Before Daniel Murphy leads off in the home third, let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
You know, Gary, who knows? Maybe I'm sitting among the next Matt Harvey here. I'm here with the Copeg Long Island Youth League. A lot of the kids have their gloves, which is pretty neat. And the significance of this is the first installment of the SNY Play Ball Award. SNY giving a $5,000 grant to some areas that were really hit hard by Hurricane Sandy. And Copeg was one of them. Here with Kenny Urban, who's director of the leagues. Just how bad was the hurricane out there, Ken?
You know, right after the storm, we weren't able to get in right away to check it out because they were using the park for the debris right away. So it took about a month for us to be able to get in. Once we got in, our entire concession stand was destroyed. We had to empty it all out. All of my players' equipment, helmets, bats, catches, gear, all destroyed and gone, and all of our fields took major damage. We're right on the water, so the water came up to the entire park.
And now, I got to tell you guys, the kids are fired up for the game. What does it mean for these guys to be out here? They all got have their gloves to watch Harvey Strasburg tonight.
You know, we couldn't ask for a better matchup. You got Strasburg and Harvey going. You can't ask for better than that. You know, a lot of these guys are still displaced. You know, a lot of these kids are getting out for a night out, get away from what they're looking at home. All their parents are trying to rebuild their houses still. It's a good night for the kids just to relax and have some fun.
And thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Gary, back to you.
Glad to have them here tonight on a very special night here at Citi Field. David Wright waits on deck. Murphy had a base hit and scored in the first, and Strasburg misses low with a changeup. 2-1. Between innings, they showed Doc Gooden's picture on the scoreboard, and the crowd here went crazy. And it makes you remember the way it was the nights that Doc pitched, and we're feeling a little bit of that here tonight with Harvey and Strasburg. 3-1 now to Murphy.
There's Doc, and it is a little electric here. So there's energy in this ballpark tonight.
I mean, when Harvey gets to 2 strikes, you hear the kind of rhythmic clapping that so punctuated Gooden's career at Shea Stadium. There's ball 4, and Murphy's on with a leadoff walk. First walk given up by Strasburg, and the Mets have the leadoff man on for the 3rd straight inning. Well, there's the good doctor.
What a beautiful motion.
It was Nureyev-like. No one's copied it before. No one's been able to copy it since. And that was one of the first times you saw a billboard like that. It was near the Lincoln Tunnel. I remember I saw it. I said, that is one of the best things I've ever seen.
24-4, 1.53. That was his 1985 season.
Try pitching behind that stuff. That was a blast.
You did pretty good.
You can draft off that. David Wright hits a slow ground ball. Tracy on the charge, and he gets the out at first as Murphy moves up to second. Doc spent 11 seasons as a Met, but the first 2 were the most memorable 2. He was a phenomenon, and at a time when the Mets were going from a team that was a perennial last place finisher as recently as the year before he got there, as they became a contender, he turned Shea Stadium into a place to be.
I can't speak about the rest of New York, but Keith and I, we lived in Manhattan. You would walk the streets to have lunch, and there was a buzz with people saying, the good doctor's pitching tonight. I got 2 tickets. I'm going. It was like such a big deal to even have a ticket.
Strasburg struggling a little with his command here in the 3rd. Sailed that fastball to Ike Davis, who struck out his first time up. Well, there are certain pitchers who very early in their careers created a buzz. You know, I think of a guy like Mark Fidrich, who obviously had a mercurial career. Started and finished very quickly. Fernando Valenzuela when he first came up with the Dodgers. Hideo Nomo when he came over from Japan. Seaver's starts were like that for a long time. But I don't think I've ever personally witnessed anything like what Dwight Gooden created at Shea.
Although I asked Rusty Staub, he said Mark the Bird Fidrich, he was on that team, was like nothing he'd ever seen before. The Bird would go in, he'd give his post-game interviews with all the press. He would come back out in his shirt sleeves. Crowd would still be there, waiting to say goodbye to him. I mean, crazy stuff.
Well, Fidrich was such a unique personality, too, the way he manufactured the mound, and he waved to his fielders. I mean,
nickname of Big Bird, you know, the whole thing. But I just remember the night that Dwight struck out Marvell Wynn to set the rookie record, I guess it was. And the crowd was just going crazy. And they not only would put the K's up on the board, but they would run around a part of the stadium where they were, enticing everyone to get more excited, and they would go crazy and finally hang up the K, and the whole crowd would go high fives and the whole thing. It was a really special time.
It was a special decade, that's for sure. It was, I was just very fortunate, blessed to have been played behind Doc and played on that team. Who was the pitcher that he broke the record? Was it Early Wynn?
No, Herb Score.
Herb Score. I had the right team.
That'll be something special as a position player when you play in that atmosphere and you know it's going to be that way every 5 days.
Well, it took you weren't going to get a lot of plays in the field. I mean, Doc would go out there and strike out 17, 15, 14 batters. And it was just a treat to watch. I know my angle from first base. I can visualize it. I can say that I played with Bob Gibson and Tom Seaver at the tail end of their career. But with Doc on their strike 3 on Ike, Doc, I truly played with one of the behind and with one of the great pitchers, power pitchers of all time. There's Ryan right there. Faced him enough too. There's another guy with a high rising fastball and a pretty good curve.
Well, here's John Buck, who drove in the first Met run with a 2-out hit. We'll try and do the same again with Murphy at second and 2 down. Buck's RBI in the first was his 20th of the year. 20 RBIs in the Mets' first 15 games has only been done once before. And that was in 1994 when Jeff Kent got off to an incredible start, and he had 23 RBIs in the first 15 games.
Why was he traded again?
Why was he traded? Well, he didn't play that well after that in New York.
Oh,
fielding position.
I've got long sleeve shirt on. It must have been cold that day.
April game.
I know it wasn't in Colorado. 1-1 to Buck. Meanwhile, Strasburg throwing a lot of pitches early in this game. Duda waiting on deck. Walk the leadoff hitter here in the third. Now with 2 out, Buck takes a fastball strike. Well located, 1-2.
No matter how hard you throw, when you locate, which Strasburg hasn't been doing this game, I just look, I locked him right up. Cool. You did the right thing. Don't swing. You're not going to hit it.
Suzuki's had to go in the dirt more than a couple of times early in this game.
Well, you all honestly need a catcher like Suzuki. He's probably one of your more athletic catchers, smaller, a little lighter than most kind of bulkier catchers, and he's very athletic back there.
He's getting the bulk of the playing time now with Wilson Ramos on the disabled list. He's got a hamstring injury that brought Suzuki over last summer. Here's the 2-2, and Buck gets tied up inside, and it just missed 3-2. So he came inside, got a strike the first time, and tried to do it again.
Looked like Strasburg was perturbed at Brian Knight, but he missed with that pitch.
I just think his competitive juices are up. He missed. He knew he missed it. He just can't find it.
Already his 5th full count. 14 batters into the game. And the curveball in, strike 3 call. Nasty hook from Strasburg gets Buck looking. 5 strikeouts for Strasburg. Still 2-0 New York after 3. Baseball on SNY is brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Watch more sports on more devices in the house than anyone else. Call 1-800-TW-CABLE. Time Warner Cable, enjoys sports better. By Xerox. With Xerox, you're ready for real business. And by Budweiser, great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Love watching that old Nolan Ryan footage.
Yes. Hey, we've all had our day, huh? Our day to shine in the sun.
Well, it's a power pitching legacy that Matt Harvey is running with. 3 good innings under his belt tonight. 25 innings for the season. He's allowed 7 hits and struck out 29. He's in some uncharted waters, isn't he? Bryce Harper leads off in the 4th.
Sorry, Gary. The one pitch he's got to watch out against Harper is that curveball for a strike. That is the pitch that Harper covers with power.
No.
Maybe not the first pitch curveball for a strike.
He's got a good one.
Threw him 3 straight fastballs to start him off in the 1st inning, and then got him to ground out on a breaking ball.
Good power in after a curveball away. Didn't get it there.
And he gets ahead on Harper 0-2. Harper, LaRoche, and Desmond 3, 4, and 5 in the Nationals batting order. They only hit Harvey allowed an opposite field double to Steven Strasburg. That's got a couple of unearned runs for him in the 1st, and he's been in charge.
What do you want here? He just said, okay. Put everything down.
Did you see with his head what he did there? Harvey waved with his head away. Let Buck know you want that slider away.
Murphy charges and throws out Harper, 1 away. I like the orange fingernail polish, by the way, from John Buck. I don't know if that's just for tonight. I don't think we've seen that from him before.
You know, we've talked about Buck really being kind of the take charge catcher back there. It's very interesting to see the young Matt Harvey shake him off like 4 times.
Well, the Mets put a modified shift on against LaRoche's first time up with a runner on base. This time they go with the full shift. I don't think he's going to try and bunt like Carlos Gonzalez. Ball 1 to LaRoche, who lined into that shift, caught by Murphy his first time up.
Very underappreciated player. I think last year with the year he had, finally got the kudos he deserves. He's a nice player, really a nice player. Field, hit with power.
Now 33 years old. And Harvey throws one at his feet, a slider, 2-1. Well, that's his. Those are his numbers up to the moment. Ridiculous, huh?
Wow. I like the walks. I mean, everybody looks and oohs and ahs at the strikeouts, of course, and the hits given up, which is as you should. But the walks, that's key too. 7 walks for the season.
You know, Terry Collins was talking about Harvey earlier today and talking about what happens when he fails, because everybody's going to have a bad start, a bad set of 3 starts. It hasn't happened to him yet. He had a couple of starts last year that weren't phenomenal, but he was always able to bounce back the next start and pitch well. He gets LaRoche for the 2nd out. 5 strikeouts for Harvey.
Nice changeup here. Haven't seen many strikeouts on changeup. What fools him there, not only the speed, the run on that ball from the outside corner off. It's with the grip to get that. Make sure you put it way back in your hand. And most pitchers, even though they don't want to, turn it over just a little bit at the very end.
It's a little harder than his average changeup, too.
And Ronnie, the most important thing that he's been doing, Harvey, is that he's left-hand hitters. When he tails that, runs it away, it's not a strike. So you can't get hurt by it.
Desmond late on the fastball. But what about that, Ronnie? It's really easy to have that great drive and great competitiveness and positive attitude when things are going well. What happens when a young pitcher like this finally hits a bump?
It's not only that, Gary. Sometimes you won't even hit a bump. Sometimes you'll be pitching well, and the next thing you know, you take 2 no decisions in games that are 0-0. You lose a game 1-0. You say, hey, what's going on here? What Terry Collins said, and I believe it too, he's got the insides to weather those kind of things. He just, I don't think he's going to wilt under the pressure of having a couple of bad starts.
1-2 to Desmond. That strikeout of LaRoche a moment ago, the 100th of Harvey's career. 1-2. Just got a piece. 100 strikeouts in his first 14 starts. There's only one other active pitcher that has done that, and it's the guy he's pitching against tonight, Steven Strasburg. One-two to Desmond. Tied him up and just missed with it.
And that's a changeup right there, sinking late, and good eye by Desmond. But if Desmond swings, he's not going to hit this ball. Odds was a backup slider. Excuse me.
Fastball up. Stay with it.
Another slider, and that missed. 3-2. The blowing mist is expanding in the ballpark. This is the good weather, Ronnie.
Unless your luck changes, I'm sure something's going to come in here.
Harvey's run a 3-2 count to Desmond, and a late swing foul.
Personally, I think when you have a fastball like Matt, you got a 2-0 lead, Desmond's up, I would challenge him, Keith, with that good fastball.
I agree.
Big part of the park.
Third full count of the night for Harvey. And he walked him. 98 miles an hour, a little bit low.
Just missed.
Second walk given up by Matt. So a 2-out base runner for the Nationals. And now Chad Tracy, who struck out his first time up.
Remember, Tracy chased that high fastball up out of the strike zone last time.
Desmond can steal a base. He's got 2 already this year. And Tracy takes a slider for a strike.
He's gotten away from his fastball, Ronnie, hasn't he?
You know what I find interesting? I think that he and Buck, this is the first game that kind of button heads.
Out to center field. Valdespina's there. And that retires the side. Harvey gets Tracy on the fly ball. Middle of the fourth at Citi Field. 2-0 New York. National Series with insider info and exclusive interviews. Plus, hear the latest in New York sports as Chris Carlin and Adam Shine debate the top stories of the day on Loudmouths, presented by Caesars Atlantic City. Now at a new time, Monday at 5:30, only on SNY. Lucas Duda leads off the home fourth against Steven Strasburg. Duda hit one just in front of the center field fence that Denard Span caught in the first inning. Duda, Bird, and Tejada 6, 7, and 8 in the order against Strasburg, who pours over a fastball 1-1. And that one sailed on Strasburg, a changeup, 2-1. He's had a few of those tonight that he just seems to have lost complete command of.
Well, he has such a power changeup that he has such arm torque on it. Sometimes it just his arm slot just gets so low.
And now he's behind on Duda, 3-1. Mets have had the leadoff man against Strasburg in each of the first 3 innings, which has created a lot of stress for him and a higher pitch count than he'd like, and far more pitches out of the stretch than he would like. And Duda happy to accept a walk to lead off the 4th. So second straight inning he's issued back-to-back walks. Let's go back to Harvey in the top of the inning.
Well, see, when he bats on his helmet, Buck, he's telling, hey, think with me, throw this ball in the dirt. See, Buck, he's upset there. I'm telling you, do not. Need this breaking ball in the dirt. That's why he's putting his glove down. Again, he thinks that's a better pitch.
Yes,
likes that much better. And then in between innings, like we've talked about it before, there's a lot of discussion in between innings. I think that they're really butting heads. They're having a hard time getting on the same page, but still 4 shutout innings.
It has certainly appeared, second time through the batting order, that Harvey's gotten away from his fastball. There's Marlon Byrd, who had a stinging double to left center his first time up. And the conversation continues.
Talking about how they attack the hitters that last inning, that one particular at bat.
When you get a kid like Harvey, who clearly has dominant stuff, a bulldog mentality, how long before he can tune out and call his own game?
Well, I think that's hard. I think it's difficult because, you don't want to go against the veteran catcher who's been in the National League East for the last few seasons. You're also talking about John Buck, who caught Josh Johnson in Miami, a power pitcher, against this lineup. So he kind of knows how to go, at the Nationals. But, at one point, Gary, and it'll happen later than sooner, is, you know what? The wins and losses in ERA, they're on you. No one else is going to have those numbers. So you pitch according to your strengths or what you think they are that day.
Bird lifts one to center field, and Span is there. 1 out. Duda back to first. SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. And what you say is true, Ronnie, but at the same time, look at the success he's enjoying right now.
Yeah. Well, he's come out of the blocks just firing. 98 upstairs. It's going to happen. This is the first game I think that he spent a lot of bullets early in this game, and he not that he's laboring at all. He's not. But I think that, it's not the games he's pitched before where he's kind of eased into the game and gotten stronger. Let's see if he'll do it tonight.
Here's Ruben Tejada with 1 out and 1 on. And a late swing foul. So you're saying those 98s and 99s in the first inning can catch up with you later?
Best pitcher on the planet probably is Justin Verlander, right? Felix Hernandez, you got to put in that list. There's a few other. Clayton Kershaw. But when you watch Verlander pitch, who's the closest of all those pitchers to Matt Harvey, he kind of starts cruise control at 94 and then goes to 98 when he needs to.
Also, I think that this is a big matchup here. There's a lot of excitement. Matt Harvey, for all the exterior, the way he looks calm and composed, I bet you inside he's all pumped up. I think as he becomes a veteran, he's going to match up with other great pitchers. Yeah. It's just going to be another day, another 5th day, just another start.
Meanwhile, nothing has come easily for Strasburg tonight. He gave up a couple of unearned runs in the first inning. He's walked the leadoff hitter in each of these last 2 innings, and now he's about to throw his 80th pitch with 1 out of the 4th.
Can't hit and run with Duda, Chief?
No.
Okay.
And Strasburg behind the number 8 hitter, 3-1.
Maybe with a lesser pitcher, but not with a pitcher of quality.
Swing and miss guy, yeah.
Yep.
Good call.
Although you don't get too many swings and misses from Tejada.
That's right. I mean, I find that you would hit and run every chance you get with him because that's one of his strengths.
Harder to do it in the 8-hole, though. Suzuki back for a look, but that's well back in the crowd. Now, to compare your mound opponents tonight through their first 13 career starts, that's what Strasburg did, and that's what Harvey has done. And other than the walks, they're awfully similar. Harvey, though, has already attacked that walk problem, as Ronnie and Keith detailed earlier. 3-2, and Tejada pops it up. Lombardozzi retreating and calling, and that's the second out.
Ruben's been getting a little bit long with his swing. That's what he does when he kind of not on the ball. I mean, not really in sync. It's a little long with his swing. And he's tardy.
Now hitless in his last 8 at bats. So 2 out. Duda still at first, and here's Harvey, who struck out his first time up but gave a pretty good account of himself before he did. Stretched Strasburg to 7 pitches, and he drives this one down the right field line. Back toward the corner goes Worth, and he runs it down. Well, Strasburg doubled against Harvey down the right field line earlier in the game. Harvey was trying to match him tit for tat. 2-0 Mets after 4. Friday afternoon in New York. Always a little bit hectic. Yeah, it's always hectic. Sunday, the Rivas saga continues. Find out the latest status on the Jets star cornerback. Plus, to get a game-by-game breakdown of Gangrene's 2013 schedule. Open in Tampa Bay. On Jets Nation, Sunday at 7, only on SNY. Matt Harvey getting ready to face the Nationals in the 5th inning. Let's check in with Kevin.
Well, we've kept a close eye on Matt Harvey and John Buck and how they've gone back and forth tonight. And it's also been interesting how it started out this year and last start. Now, especially tonight, Harvey shaking more. Keith and Ron, as you have noted. You know, I asked John Buck about his philosophy about handling a staff in its entirety. And he said, you know, really, it's about knowing each individual, handing each person as an individual, even if you're going against the same exact lineup 3 days in a row. Not only about the game plan, but it's about how to handle each guy mentally, because there is a big difference there. And then the thing is, if you go about it the wrong way, things go in reverse. So it's very, very important. To give you an example, a guy like John Neese, sometimes I feel like I maybe need to go out there and get him going, get on him a little bit. Harvey, the opposite. Although we saw that exchange that we showed last inning with the curveballs, sometimes I feel like I got to go out and tone him down. Said everybody is different, and when you're going over the game plan, it is a give and take. And quite honestly, I'll go with whatever works. Perfect example he gave me. How about this in Florida when he was with Mark Burley? He said we'd sit down, go over the game plan, and Burley said you take control of it. He never shook me one time. He didn't even want to think. He just wanted to see what I did and throw the pitch. Everybody's a little different, guys.
I didn't know Burley had enough time to get the sign.
He said there is no signs.
Off the fists of Lombardozzi, and in comes Duda to make the grab one away.
And guys, just on a note, I mean, we showed the crowd tonight and showed Doc Gooden, and it is fun tonight. You know, nobody's walking around. That's the difference that I noted. I was out in the outfield, do that interview before. Everybody's paying attention. Even the people that are standing up, paying attention just a little bit closer tonight. It's a good atmosphere.
Well, I have a feeling that as Matt Harvey's season continues, if it continues on the trajectory that it's begun on, it's going to get more and more like that with each one of his successive starts.
Well, that's the way it should be. You go to a ball game, you go to a ball game to watch baseball.
Here's Kurt Suzuki, who flied out his first time up, and he takes a strike.
You know, talking about Mark Burley and shaking off, Tom Gorman used to be a pitcher for us, a little lefty. We used to call him Gorfax because he was a talkative kind of guy and talked his game up to Sandy Koufax's level, or so we thought. But I remember once he was talking to Gary Carter and said, "Kid, now one's a fastball, wiggles the change. This Gary Carter said, Tom, just throw it. I can catch it. Yeah, we don't need any signs."
Harvey has struck out 5 tonight. Throws the slider away to Suzuki, 1-2.
You know, Keith, because everybody's watching the game, the lines at your burger stand very minimal right now.
That's fine. I would give up those lines, have these seats, people watching.
That cut your take?
Your stock share is going down as we speak.
Well, it's all right. It's been a good ride.
Suzuki down on strikes. That's 6 for Matt Harvey. 2 down in the 5th.
Again, that fastball that he has not thrown as much is still as sharp and right by Suzuki.
Well, for a guy who's normally 93 to 97, he's been 96 to 99 tonight. Here's Strasburg, who has the only Washington hit, and he takes ball 1. Strasburg hit one down the right field line that fell in for a double with 1 out in the 3rd. And he bounces one for Tejada, who lays back on it and throws him outside, retired. Harvey sets him down 1-2-3. We're halfway through at Citi Field. 2-0 Mets. as advertised so far. The Mets got a couple of unearned runs off Steven Strasburg in the first inning, but he has been able to work around a couple of leadoff walks. Matt Harvey has been his dominant self through 5, and the Mets have a 2-0 lead as they come to bat in the bottom of the 5th. Seems this is familiar territory for Mr. Harvey. 5 innings, 1 hit, 6 strikeouts.
And after those starts, start in Minnesota, no jacket in between innings. Must feel balmy tonight.
Felt bad for John Neese that he had to make 2 of the starts in the ice box, 1 in Minnesota and 1 in Colorado. We'll have a little bit better weather, I hope, for his next start against the Dodgers coming up next week. Jordany Valdespin leads off. He reached on an error by Ian Desmond leading off the first inning and came around to score. Then he struck out to end the second.
Well, Jordany has scored 7 runs this year, and in the leadoff spot, he's always in the thick of things. Even though he got on an error, he winds up scoring. He's been productive offensively.
And it was the kind of error, we saw it for years with Jose Reyes, that speed creates.
Right.
With an average runner, that same ground ball, Desmond knows he has more time and maybe makes the play. Right now, that's the difference in this game. Valdespin gets under one to right field. And Worth tracks it. 1 away. The wind is really carrying the ball. Here's your Mets upcoming schedule presented by Ridgewood Savings Bank. You can listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 and Sports Radio 101.9 WFAN. Fox has the reins tomorrow. We're back with you on Pix 11 on Sunday afternoon with Dylan G against Jordan Zimmerman. Then the Dodgers are in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and the Phillies over next weekend before the Mets go to Miami and Atlanta on their next trip. Here's Daniel Murphy, who's been on base twice, a single and a walk, and he scored a run. And Strasburg again throws ball 1. Murphy now with 16 runs scored. Only Carlos Gonzalez has scored more in the National League. He has 19. Boy, did he have a series against the Mets.
Boy, how'd you like to watch him play all season long? He is just just a beautiful player to watch.
Never pitched him inside the whole series.
Yeah, well,
shoot, you got to pound him in. He was murdering that ball out over the plate, outside part of the plate, and he stands away from the plate. But you got to go do some plan B. He killed him.
8 for 13 in that series.
Maybe not pitch to him in certain spots.
Well, they tried that too. It didn't work.
Tulowitzki would get up and take a hit.
3-1 now to Murphy, so far more 3-1 counts than Strasburg would like tonight. He's walked 2, struck out 4. He's gotten only 1 ground ball out tonight. Murphy hits one well out to center field. Span goes back to the warning track at the wall. He makes the catch and hangs on after smacking the fence. Second one that has driven Span back to the wall tonight. First Duda, and now Murphy. 2 out.
Another reason why they traded for this guy. Not only did they give him a leadoff hitter, but he can play center field.
Well, I was talking to the people from Washington today. I said, how do you like Denard Span so far? Gamer, can go get it. Great guy in the clubhouse. I mean, all the things that you'd want.
And they've really had problems with leadoff hitters the last couple of years, and he's given them an on-base guy at the top of the order and that defense. So that is a long second out. Now David Wright, and he swings at the fastball and misses.
Hit well, the ball's carrying. He just gets a great jump. He had it. He's just checking where the fence is.
Welcome to the city. Wright is flied out and grounded out tonight, 0 for 2.
You know, it's interesting when I was watching you guys in Colorado. David Wright got a lot of those pitches down and in, kind of fought him off to right, but Strasburg's got a little too much giddy up to get that ball fair.
1-2. And the curveball, did he bite? Nope. 2-2.
Nicely,
Davis with the call.
Nicely done, David, right there. Good eye. And I agree. No swing.
And right bounces one slowly. Desmond charging this time, handles it cleanly and throws out right to end the inning. 6 in a row retired by Strasburg, but the Mets up 2-0 after 5. .05 as the series with Bryce Harper and the Nationals continues. Find the best prices at Mets.com or at 718-507-TIXX, the only place to get tickets through game time. Well, this is the story tonight. Matt Harvey and Steven Strasburg. Harvey with the upper hand. Mets got a couple of unearned runs in the first inning. Strasburg already up to 96 pitches through 5, whereas Harvey has been far more economical.
This is a big inning for Mr. Harvey. 6th inning, top of the order.
3rd time through the order as Denard Span leads off and hits a sharp ground ball through the middle. Just the 2nd hit for the Nationals. So Span is aboard. First time Washington's had the leadoff man on. Let's check in with the studio. Gary Apple has this game break. Braves at 13-2 on the season, but taking it on the chin tonight. So Harvey yields a leadoff base runner for the first time tonight. Jason Worth, the tying run at the plate, and he takes a slider for a strike. Worth has walked and taken a call, 3rd strike, 0 for 1.
Well, this is the most dangerous part for any pitcher. Why? It's the 3rd time to the lineup. A good lineup. Some veteran hitters mixed in here. Span can run. All the things for a difficult inning.
Chasing the pitch upstairs, and it's 0-2.
That's where I like the fastball. You notice Denard's fastball, Span, excuse me, was down. Look what he does right here. They can't catch up to that high one.
But it's also interesting that Span attacked that first pitch, something that Nats have not been doing most of the night. And you see the pitch usage about the same as usual. Fewer changeups maybe than normal for Matt. 1-2 now to Worth.
Right on cue. A changeup Ahead 0-2 in the count. Very unusual pitch. It's a pitch we have not seen.
And away to the right-hand batter, too.
You're thinking two things here. Strikeout because you're a strikeout pitcher, or a slider down and away that Worth tries to pull.
Here's the 1-2. And he wastes that fastball.
There you go. 2 fastballs up. So let him off with a high fastball, strike 1. Change up in the dirt. Now another high fastball.
Well, that's his pitch distribution this year. So you see his changeup usage a little down tonight from where it's been.
That tells me is 2/3 of the time you're going to get a fastball from Matt Harvey if you're the hitter.
So why not first ball fastball hit?
Which is what Span did.
Looking for the ground ball with the slider away.
And he lays off 2-2.
I think only on Worth. Remember, guys, he struck him out on a slider away, taken for a strike. His slider has not been great tonight. Been more like a cutter almost.
His best curveball, maybe the first one in the first inning. But that hasn't been a huge weapon for him either.
Up and in's a good pitch here, going away with the fastball.
2-2 to Worth. And again, he's able to make contact and foul it off.
What's interesting about Worth, you say to yourself early in the count he swung through that pitch. Well, 2 strikes, veteran hitter. He shortens up a little bit. He's trying to kind of move that ball to right field if he can.
Double play ball to Murphy. Out at second. Tejada's relay. Double play. 2 men down. 4-6-3. 2 out and nobody on.
Well, pitcher's best friend right here. Slider is the call. Worth takes a good hack on this. It's a hanger. He had 2 strikes. He was being defensive there. But that's gets you right out of a whole lot of trouble.
Even more importantly there, double play turn by the Mets. Outstanding throw with a lot on it by Tejada.
It's a lot warmer than it was in Colorado. 11th double play for the Mets in their 15th game. So now Harper bats with 2 out and nobody on. Twice is grounded out to the right side, and Harvey throws him a first pitch slider, ball 1. Harper now 0 for 5 against Harvey in his career. Harvey struck out 10 in 5 innings when he faced the Nats last September, but lost the game 2-0. Bounces that changeup, and it's 2-0. So interesting, he attacked Harper with fastballs that first at bat, but a little different program the last 2.
No, I think he's trying to outsmart the hitters and say, hey, each time up you're going to get a different assortment. The only problem here now behind Harper.
And Harper drives one to center. Valdespin coming on, reaches down to make the catch. Measuring that line drive, Valdespin picks it off to deny Harper and end the inning. Harvey gets through the top of the 6th, still with a 2-0 lead.
Home sixth inning. Ike Davis leads off. Hits the first pitch deep to left center field. Back goes Span near the wall. It's out of here. Ike Davis with an opposite field home run. For the struggling Davis, his second of the year, and it's 3-0 New York. Well, Ike heard the boos after his first two at-bats, both resulting in strikeouts against Strasburg. He attacks the first one he sees his third time up and takes it out the other way.
Well, first ball, fastball hitting, and the fastball meant to be away, not away enough. And that's the kind of strength and power that Ike has.
It was also down, Keith, which I think is the key.
You don't hit 30 home runs plus and not have power.
Well, for Davis, that's just his fourth hit in his last 26 at bats. The other three were all hit off the end of the bat, little duck snorts to left field. This one driven out of the ballpark.
Well, it's surprising he would lead Ike off with a fastball right down the pipe. Right down the pipe. And you know what? He's been swinging and missing it, though, so that's a good sign.
David Wright, Duda, whomever. Ike has the most power on this ball club when he connects. By far.
It's only the fourth RBI for Mike this year. It's been a struggle for him again.
Meanwhile, Strasburg starting Buck off with back-to-back curveballs. And then John hits one in the air down the right field side. Worth coming over and has enough room to put it away. 1 out. We're going to see more of that against Buck.
And he'll have to make the adjustment. You know, his entire career, he has not been a great breaking ball hitter. He's a middle of the plate in kind of fastball hitter. But he's going to have to make the adjustment to get some base hits on those pitches occasionally.
Now Duda, who's hit one deep to center that was caught and then drew a walk in the fourth. Well, the Mets have now homered in each of their 7 home games this year, which, when you think about their history since they moved to Citi Field, is pretty extraordinary.
Yeah. Well, just their home run power so far coming out of the blocks has been something that you did not see.
Mets started the night 5th in the National League in home runs. Davis's was their 18th of the year. And a long drive, deep right center field. Back goes Span, looking up, and it's out of here. Lucas Duda with his 4th home run of the year. Davis and now Duda taking Strasburg deep in the 6th, and it's 4-0 New York. You sure Ike has the most power on the team?
What was I saying? You know, I've had a few days off. I'm sorry.
You forgot about Lucas.
When he strikes them, they stay struck. Here's Marlon Byrd. And he takes a curveball for a strike.
Both fastballs, both home runs. That was more belt high. But right down the middle, mistakes from Strasburg. Excuse me.
Well, Strasburg had given up only 1 home run over his first 3 starts. Now he's given up 2 in a span of 3 batters. It's nice to see Giordani Valdespin has a new job as helmet boy.
Guys, you hearing this chant right now? It's Harvey's better. Pretty creative.
I want to know how they came up with that and transmitted that to everybody.
Yes.
To get them on the same note. It's pretty good. 1-2 to Bird. And it's in the dirt. By the way, Ike Davis taking Strasburg deep. It's the 2nd home run for Davis against Strasburg, which ties him for the most that anybody has hit against Strasburg. Dan Uggla has 2. Tyler Colvin has 2. And Ike has 2 against Strasburg. First time the Mets have hit 2 home runs in an inning this year. 2-2. And that's, check the count. I guess that's ball 4. No, Bird had the count wrong. He's going to first thinking it was ball 4, but it was only ball 3. Well, I had it wrong, but it was Marlon.
Doesn't happen. That's a
sheepishly come on back. Veteran left-hander Zach Duke up in the bullpen for the Nationals as Strasburg has given up a couple of home runs here in the 6th. Up over 110 pitches for his 3rd straight start. Ooh. And Bird goes down swinging on the curveball. He just got a piece of it to stay alive. Mets hitting their 2nd home run of the game. Log on to SNY.TV/Dwayne Reed to print out your coupon for $5 off any Gillette Mach 3 razor or cartridge, redeemable at any Dwayne Reed or Walgreens location. And again, Bird able to stay alive.
Marvin doesn't get many bad swings on breaking balls, does he, Keith? He just, especially with 2 strikes, he stays on it.
He likes the ball down. A breaking ball is always going to break down, particularly a curveball that Strasburg throws. His vulnerabilities, and that's a terrible pronunciation, is up and in, like most hitters.
8th pitch of the at bat, and he goes down swinging on the fastball. Strikeout number 6 for Strasburg. Nationals trying to milk Strasburg through this inning, but it is interesting, Ronnie, the way they've taken the reins off him a little bit in terms of his pitch count.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's like one year we're going to really treat you with kids' gloves, and then this year a $110 to $120 every time out.
A home run of relief for Ike Davis. And Duda's back feeling a lot better tonight. There's Tejada, and he rolls one to the right side. Pitcher will have to cover. Strasburg gets there in time for the 4-1 putout. That ends the inning, but the Mets mashing against Strasburg here in the 6th. The big left-hand hitters. Davis takes one the other way. Duda out to right center. Davis and Duda make it 4-0 New York. Wagon. Roy Halladay and Tim Hudson each won their 200th last week. Well, Halladay going for 201 and doing well, up 8-2 on the Cardinals. Hudson only lasted 4, and Wandy Rodriguez throwing a 1-hitter against the Braves so far. That's 6-0 in the 7th. Braun a 3-run homer. The Brewers going for their 5th in a row as they lead the Cubs tonight. Steven Strasburg 111 pitches through 6 innings, probably done for the night.
And just like the Mets, a lot of talking. You see David Johnson patting him and saying he's done for the night. And here he's talking not only to Steve McCaddy, the pitching coach, and Kurt Suzuki. We talked, we listened to Davey Johnson before, said he hasn't had really a full year. He's still a work in progress. and a couple of fastballs down the middle that inning cost him.
Definitely not a dominant performance by Strasburg tonight. On the other hand, Matt Harvey just went through his most challenging inning in the 6th, and he throws the first pitch curveball to Adam LaRoche for ball 1. Harvey gave up a leadoff single to Span in the 6th, got a double play grinder from Worth on a pitch he might have gotten away with. Then Harper hit a bullet that Valdespin caught it. 1-1 to LaRoche. LaRoche lined out in the 1st inning and then struck out in the 4th, 0 for 2. Mets 4 runs, 5 hits. The Nationals no runs and 2 hits. Ian Desmond to follow, and then Chad Tracy for the Nats in the 7th. 1-2. And he held the swing on the high fastball. 2-2.
Well, when you're looking at Harvey head on, you're the batter in the batter's box. What makes him deceptive? Pretty free and easy. And you can see that exertion at the end with that leg kick, the right leg kind of just jumping out of view. He's nice and easy, nice and slow, a little methodical, and at the end, watch that off that back leg, just springs at the hitter, and that right leg really kicks in the air and comes around. That's where he gets his power.
3-2 to LaRoche leading off the 7th, and he misses with a curveball and walked him. 3rd walk given up by Harvey.
That's the wrong pitch there.
I agree. It's a changeup, 3rd pitch. Go after him, 4-run lead. Yeah. Run the fastball upstairs.
It could have been called, but it's the wrong pitch. And the baseball gods work in this way. If you're a pitcher and you make the wrong pitch on a 3-2 pitch with a 4-run lead, you never get the call.
It's an interesting philosophy.
Well, I mean, it's not mathematical, Gary.
Not everything can be quantified.
That's right.
Here's Desmond, and he takes a knee-high strike. Desmond has struck out and walked. Okay, so Ian Desmond, Chad Tracy, Steve Lombardozzi are the 5, 6, and 7 hitters in the lineup. They are 0 for 5 today. The 5, 6, and 7 hitters all season against Harvey are now 0 for 27.
Wow.
But there's the first hit. Just when we said it, it's like jinxing the foul shooter.
We didn't say it. You said it.
Nope. I take full responsibility. Desmond with the 3rd hit of the night for the Nationals, and now they have the first 2 men on in the 7th.
Takes advantage of a hanging breaking ball right there. So I think Mr. Harvey has got to start going to number 1 here.
But now we go back to what Ronnie was talking about earlier. That first inning when Harvey was throwing 98 and 99. Does he have enough to go to his fastball now?
Yeah, well, I think he does. But, you know, you want to spot it. What you're thinking about here, you have a 4-run lead. You want to get Chad Tracy, a veteran, doesn't run well, to hit a ground ball. That's your only thought.
He lines one, though, into left center for a base hit. LaRoche around 3rd. He's going to be waved home. So the Nationals are on the board. An RBI single for Chad Tracy cuts the Mets lead to 4-1. And it gets the tying run to the plate here in the 7th. So after Harvey muddled through the 6th, it's catching up with him a little here in the 7th.
Well, again, first ball, fastball hitting, Ronnie.
They've changed their. They wanted to take a look at him the first 2 times to the lineup. Said this is not working. We got to jump on him. Dan Worthen coming out because that bullpen's going to get hot. And I said it early in the game as you see Brandon Lyon and Scott Rice up in the bullpen. He just, to me, he exerted so much energy, and that happens for a young pitcher in a big game. That how much do you have in the tank? He has less than he's had in his first 3 starts.
I just think right now Worthen, A, is just going out to give him a little breather. B, giving that bullpen a little time to get loose. They got 2 guys up there down in that bullpen. Those 2 home runs now are loom large.
So now it's Lombardozzi, the number 7 hitter. It's fouled out to 3rd, flied out to left. A run is in, 1st and 2nd, and nobody out. Mets are shortened up at the corners as though they're expecting a sacrifice, which is not going to happen in this spot. See, again, I don't understand. Why in the world would they be looking for a sacrifice?
Go ahead, Keith.
No, I agree. It's a. You're at the bottom of the order.
Although Lombardozzi is one of your hottest hitters, so you let him hit.
And you're down by 3 runs in the 7th inning. You got the 8-hitter on deck and then the pitcher spot.
I don't like Ike in at all.
Double play ball if they hurry. Murphy with the flip, but a bad one, and Tejada comes off the bag, and everybody's safe.
I think Tejada got spiked, by the way.
Terry Collins out to argue the call. Mark Carlson, the second base umpire, saying that Tejada did not get the base.
I think the reason he's arguing is that Tejada got spiked. So Terry Collins is saying if he got spiked, he had to be on the bag.
Was he out? Was he saying he was out of the baseline? No, there's no way here. Very bad flip there. No, that's clean. You can't. You can't foresee that.
Looked like Tracy rolled over his ankle as he came by. And I'm not sure what Terry's arguing.
No, that's the right call by far.
So double play ball.
That's a huge play because it looked like they had a chance to turn two. Instead, they get none. The error on Murphy on the bad throw loads the bases with nobody out.
And that's why I hate that backhanded shuffle to the shortstop. That's a play that you underhand walk that ball to Tejada and you've got two. I understand that they like that play. I don't.
It's the 12th error the Mets have made this year in 15. This is the 15th ball game.
So now the tying runs are on base with nobody out. Kurt Suzuki, who already has a couple of home runs this year, and he takes a strike. Roger Bernardina is on deck to pinch hit. Desmond is on third. Tracy at second. Lombardozzi at first. A run is in. Nobody out. A single, a walk, two singles, and an error, putting Harvey in jeopardy here in the seventh. Here's Bernardina, left-hand hitter on deck. And Suzuki fouls off the fastball, which is now coming in not quite as electric as it was early in the game.
But 95's plenty, and he's so much more effective upstairs, Ronnie.
So we got to get a punch out here. Or a comeback would be nice.
Or a double play.
Yeah, you trade a run for 2 outs right now.
Sure would.
Oh, 2. Fouled off the slider, and Suzuki's still in there.
He's starting to hang that breaking ball, and you can see the expression on his face. He knew he hung it and got away with one. This is when I think you got to go. You still got the 95-mile-an-hour gas attack. You got to go to it.
Did you see that big breath he took? That's pitching on fumes. That's the first sign.
Now the question is, can he pitch through it? Suzuki watches up and away at 97 miles an hour. Harvey has struck out 6. He's walked 3, allowed a run on 4 hits. Desmond, Tracy, and Lombardozzi, the base runners. One, 2. Struck him out. Nasty slider by Harvey for his 7th strikeout. That's the first down of the inning.
Or how do you measure a pitcher, especially when he's young? When he's in trouble, can he come up with the goods? His best slider all night on his 98th pitch in the 7th inning.
Not out of the woods yet.
Veteran Roger Bernardina will be the pinch hitter. Bernardina looking for his first hit of the season. 0 for 13 to begin the year, and he comes up in a huge spot with the tying runs on base and 1 out. Very tough man to double up.
And that's not guarding the line. Terry Collins is not a believer in guarding the line.
And he lays off the fastball. Ball 1.
To me, it always seems like Roger Bernardina does some damage against the Mets, doesn't he?
He has.
Do you find it interesting, or maybe not, because you watch the bullpen in Colorado, that not even thinking of going lefty-lefty against Bernardina?
And now Harvey overthrowing the fastball, falls behind 2-0.
Well, one thing, I would never bring a left-hander in to face Bernardino with Ryan Zimmerman, even
right.
with a bad hamstring on the bench, a pinch hit. I don't want Moore or Zimmerman pinch hitting. I'd rather have Espinosa, who's got a bad hand, or Bernardino hitting.
Because Tyler Moore is very dangerous from the right side as well. Harvey behind 2-0, and he pours one over.
Don't know how Bernardino could take that 2-0. You're pinch hitting. This is a 2-0 fastball. Boy, oh boy, swinging.
Now on 2-1, Bernardino pops one up. Let's see if it stays in play. It should for Buck. 2 out. A huge out for Matt Harvey. So after striking out Suzuki, he gets the foul pop from Bernardino, and now there are 2 away.
Well, he challenged him here. He's behind him. He challenged him. His ball almost cut a little bit inside and jammed Bernardino. And we don't see very many pop-ups to the catcher here at Citi Field.
He still has to get through Denard Span, who jumped on a first pitch fastball his last time up and rifled a base hit to center. That was only the second hit against Harvey. Bases loaded, 2 down.
He's going to the whip. He's leaving it all out this inning out. This James is going to the heat.
Well, he knows this is going to be his last inning. He had a run in, bases loaded, and nobody out. Now he's 2/3 of the way out of it.
I don't think he believes this is his last inning. He's trying to get out of this jam, get a W.
Span takes a strike. 1-1.
He's got plenty left. 96.
You know the phrase right on that inside corner, bull your neck, get tougher in tough situations. That'll inspire a crowd too.
Bull your neck. I love it. I haven't heard that one in years.
1-1. Bouncing ball for Murphy to handle. Down to a knee to get it. Side retire. Matt Harvey does heavy lifting to get himself out of the top of the 7th with only 1 run scoring. Masterful by Harvey. 4-1 New York at the 7th inning stretch.
Show me something.
and he finished it with guts. A tremendous 7 innings for Matt Harvey, and he leaves with a 4-1 lead.
And you know, he's had all these almost perfect kind of starts all season long. I was more impressed with that inning right there.
And the crowd here at Citi Field, which has not had all that much to cheer about now in the 5th year that this ballpark has been open, unleashed a roar as Harvey came off the field that I don't think we've heard before.
Yeah. Well, we haven't heard it in a long while, that's for sure.
We're just announcing to the crowd the fact that the Boston police have apprehended the second suspect in the Boston Marathon bombings, and we are all thrilled to hear that. Zach Duke is on to pitch in relief of Steven Strasburg as the USA chants rain down from the crowd. Justin Turner pinch hitting for Harvey. So Strasburg goes 6, allows 4 runs, 2 of them earned on 5 hits. Harvey goes 7, allows 1 run and 4 hits as Turner rolls one out to shortstop, and Desmond with the overhand toss gets him 1 away. This is what it sounded like.
Gives me little goosebumps right there.
Well, he's becoming a beloved figure in an awful hurry. Imagine giving up a run in 7 innings and having your ERA go up all the way up to 0.93. That's where Harvey ends the night, and trying to go to 4-0 on the year if the bullpen can get 4 outs for him, as Valdespin takes a strike. Valdespin 0 for 3, reached on an error and scored the first Met run back in the first, struck out and flied out after that against Strasburg.
You know, it's interesting on a night where Strasburg and Harvey match up. I think both teams thinking that that could be the start of many matchups. And you see Scott Rice getting ready to pitch the 8th. You know, it wasn't too long ago that Zach Duke started his first year to a tremendous start in Pittsburgh. He was going to be the next great left-hander.
Right.
And it didn't work out.
Well, they had the unorthodox delivery, and they altered his delivery because they were afraid he was going to hurt his arm, and he went right south for the winner.
Left-handed relief and relief in general has been an issue early in the season for Washington. Now, they had a tremendous bullpen last year, and they brought in Rafael Soriano to be their closer in back of 2 guys who had closed in the past, Tyler Clippard and Drew Storen. But so far this year, it has not exactly gone as planned. Valdespin hooks one down to first, and the Gold Glover LaRoche makes the play. 2 down.
Well, last year in that bullpen, they had Tom Gorzolani, who was long relief, could do a spot start for him, and come in and get a left-handed out, and Sean Burnett, who's tough on left-handed. Right. And I talked with Davey in spring training. I said, Davey, I was shocked you guys got rid of your 2 left-handers. He says, well, because number 1, it was a money issue.
Yeah. And
he goes, number 2, we feel our right-handers can get left-handers out. But you know what I say? Like you said it, Ronnie. You want a right-hander out to get Ryan Howard and Chase Utley back-to-back in the 8th inning, or do you want a left-hander against him?
I mean, they hit, what, 100 points difference against the right-handers and the left-handers, so take my chances.
What their feeling is with a guy like Clippard, who has that great changeup, that he can be that guy, although it hasn't gone that way so far.
I would have kept one of the left-handers. You can't. I mean, that was a big key to that bullpen last year, which was solid.
I think Sean Burnett, the problem also, though, was he had gone through a lot of elbow problems last season, and they don't know how many innings he had left.
Murphy lifts one to left, easy for Harper, and a 1-2-3 inning for Zach Duke in relief. Now the Mets will hand it off to their bullpen, needing 6 outs to secure the win for Harvey. Makes the start tomorrow afternoon against Gio Gonzalez, and then Dylan G trying to find his range goes against the vastly underrated Jordan Zimmerman on Sunday afternoon in the final game of the series. Well, Matt Harvey did his job for 7 innings. Now he'll entrust it to the bullpen, which had an awful time of it in Colorado. Scott Rice will come on to pitch.
Well, Scott Rice came in to face the left-hander. Carlos Gonzalez gave up a base hit. He's going to face Worth and then the 2 left-handers. The only problem, if I had to circle anything, are the walks. 5 more walks than strikeouts.
9th appearance for Rice, tops on the staff. Time for our AT&T trivia question. Since 1980, only 3 National League pitchers with 200 or more strikeouts in their rookie season. Well, we know one. So who are the other 2?
1980.
I've got one.
You got one of the other 2 because we know the one's here.
When was George a rookie?
Oh,
yeah.
That would have been 88. Was he a rookie in 88?
No, because he didn't win Rookie of the Year.
City, right?
Yeah, Kansas City, and then a little time in 87.
By the way, and we have not mentioned this at all, but I've had enough people ask me over the last few weeks. Matt Harvey is not a rookie.
Yeah.
Just to make it clear to everybody, he pitched too many innings last year to be eligible for Rookie of the Year, because otherwise he might win it by acclamation right now.
He had 10 starts and almost led the team last year.
Exactly right. Jason Worth is 0 for 2 and a walk. Grounded into a double play in the 6th inning against Harvey. Tough play for Wright near the bag, and he got him. Oh. Terrific play by David Wright to get Jason Worth. Very difficult play.
Well, he's got to negotiate the bag here. Gets rid of it quickly. Boy, I tell you what, that's close. Oh, Right call. They got him. What a play.
Jerry Davis with the call at first base, right on the money. Scott Rice appreciative. So he gets the right-hand hitter out. Now he gets the 2 lefties.
What a nice play by David.
Bryce Harper 0 for 3 tonight. Attacks the first pitch slider and fouls it off. Harper grounded out twice and then hit a bullet to center field that Valdespin caught his last time up.
Boy, this Bryce Harper, when he hits it, I don't know if there's anyone who consistently hits the ball harder than Harper as Drew Storen gets loose.
Like a latter-day Gary Sheffield.
Yeah.
Hits this one sharply, but Murphy shuffles over and throws out Harper 2 away. So Rice has gotten the first 2. SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. That's a 2 over the wall and 2 to the wall against Steven Strasburg tonight. Continuing their long ball ways. There's Adam LaRoche, who walked and scored the only run for Washington. There will be 2 lasting innings of this game for Matt Harvey after his stint tonight. The first one where he came out throwing 98, 99 miles an hour. And then the last one after giving up a run, bases loaded, nobody out, and he was able to keep it right where it was.
That is how there's Atchison up, who had a tough outing, his first tough outing in Denver yesterday. He's been solid in that bullpen. That's how you judge a pitcher, your guts, Ronnie.
You're so right, Keith. I think that, there's guys that, listen, and it's so early in the season. We know there's arcs and valleys in a guy's career, but that's the big difference between being a winning pitcher and being a guy who gets a no decision or pitches your team to a loss.
And you cannot make that evaluation on statistics on a piece of paper or spit it out of a computer.
You might get a fight with that one, but
nice inning so far. 1 out away from a beautiful hold here for Rice, and this is a legitimate hold. So the statistic I don't really category I don't really care about.
I was going to say that's the first time I've heard you use that. And Rice strikes out LaRoche. 1, 2, 3 inning for Scott Rice. Couple of grounders and a strikeout. Still 4-1 New York.
How about our boy Rice?
Let's hurry up and finish this game, boys. Let's answer our AT&T trivia question. 3 National League pitchers with 200 or more strikeouts in their rookie season. We know about Doc, Hideo Nomo, and Kerry Wood,
yes,
the other two.
Yep.
Wood had a 20 strikeout game in his 5th big league start. Drew Storen will pitch the bottom of the 8th for the Nats.
My guess was Valenzuela, but I'm sure he didn't pitch enough innings because he can't play.
A shortened season in 81. It was a strike year.
That's
Otherwise,
right.
he would have had it too.
Well, Drew Storen. Now, I'm always interested to see young pitchers who've been closers and now have a different role to see what kind of year they've had. He's had an indifferent start.
David Wright leads off. David's 0 for 3 tonight. And he drives one to center field. Span chasing back, and he can't get it. And David has a lot of room to run. He heads for third, and he'll have 3 bases easily. Second triple of the year for David Wright.
Boy, Span got a late break on this ball. I don't understand why. He didn't break late. He kind of stutter stepped there, and that's the difference. That cost him. Take him to dinner, David.
So Span, who was able to get back and catch a couple of balls against the wall earlier in the game. This time not as fortunate against Wright. Let's lead the league in triples, by the way.
Well, this has been a bullpen of the Nationals that has really struggled. They've got an ERA of over 5 coming into this game.
Infield in for Ike Davis, who homered his last time up on the first pitch in the 6th inning. And he takes wide from Storen. And, you know, you mentioned Storen going into a new role, Ronnie. The other thing is he has to bounce back from the intense disappointment of the way his season ended last year in that final game against the Cardinals.
I mean, it was like a slow death watching him pitch and not having the ability to throw a strike. It was just that game, Gonzalez's game, they had gotten off to what, a 6-0 lead?
Gonzalez gave back half of it when he couldn't throw strikes in the 5th. And then Storen had the meltdown in the 9th.
They can certainly have a carryover effect to the next year.
You know, we talked about the Mets after the 07 season and, you know, how you survive the next year after you've given away a playoff berth. But, you know, for an individual, sometimes it can be even harder. You know, the tragic case of Donnie Moore is the one that everybody goes back to, and blowing that lead for the Angels back in '86 against the Red Sox and Dave Henderson. Popped up in foul ground. Tracy over, and doesn't quite have enough room. So it's going to be interesting to watch this entire Washington bullpen, which is thought to be, one of their strengths. Obviously, they have great starting pitching. They have a fine lineup, but the bullpen was also a big part of their success last year.
They've got of the 7 guys out in that bullpen, they've got 5 of them with ERAs over 5, and 1 of them over 9.
Two and two with the infield in. And this is ball 3.
Terry Collins was asked about his own bullpen as you see the infield in. And he said, you know what? They had a good ERA going into Colorado. I'm going to pretend I didn't see it and give them another shot.
And the Mets bullpen starting the night with a 5.52 ERA after giving up 18 runs in Colorado.
Drive down the right field line, headed toward the corner. It's out of here. Ike Davis with his 2nd home run of the night. 6-1 New York. Well, Ike started the 6th inning tonight with only 1 home run for the year. He's now in a pair tonight, his 6th career multiple home run game, and the Mets now have a 5-run lead.
Well, boy, that's a promising sign. Getting Ike untracked. And that was a 2-iron laser beam in the 2nd tank of the Pepsi porch.
Well, Ike had only 3 RBIs coming into the night. He has 3 in his last 2 at bats. Mets have hit 3 home runs tonight. And now John Buck takes a curveball for a strike.
Fastball. Not out enough. And Ike lets go with that one hand. And I've never seen a guy that lets go with one hand hit it so hard and far.
Reason to smile.
Yeah, well, he doesn't want a repeat of last year.
Again, guys, add-on runs so important, and the offense of the Mets keeps clicking through these 15 games.
Well, the add-on runs help take the bullpen out of play. It's one of the things that has characterized the Mets in this early season when they've had success, as Buck goes down swinging for the first out. When they've won, they've tended to win lopsided. The Mets have now scored 89 runs in their first 15 games. They had 84 coming into the night, which is the most they had ever scored in the first 14 games of any season.
And also one of the reasons why Bobby Parnell, who's pitched well, only has 1 save.
He got credit for a blown save in Colorado, but that was the result of an error, so seems kind of unfair. Yeah. Here's Duda, who hit a home run his last time up, his 4th of the year. Lucas also hit one to the center field fence that Span caught back in the 1st, so he's only a couple of feet away from a 2 home run night. Off-speed pitch by Storen, and it's 0-2.
Earlier this year, off Clayton Richard, I believe, the Duda Ike Davis tandem had a couple of home runs in that game.
Well, it was one of the aberrations in this early season that the Mets were hitting home runs every day, and yet Wright wasn't hitting them. Davis wasn't hitting them. Well, David had a 2 home run game in Colorado on Tuesday, and now Ike has a 2 home run game tonight. innings. He's done a great job laying off tough pitches.
He has a terrific eye at the plate, and he's been swinging a much more aggressive at bat. What I don't like what Duda does is take any fastball that's belt high and down in his wheelhouse. And sometimes I think he gets too passive up there.
Not passive. Deep to center. Span back. Warning track near the wall. It's out of here. Second of the night for Lucas Duda. Davis with a pair. Duda with a pair. And it's 7-1 New York. Third career multiple home run game for Duda, as he and Davis homer in the same inning for the second time tonight.
Number 5. Amazing what a little warm weather will do to you.
Yeah.
Well, here it is. What I'm talking about. Belt high, belt and down. Look at that. Jump on that. That's right where he likes it. That you should never let that one go. And there's not a ballpark in the game in this league that can hold Lucas.
Well, the two big left-handed sluggers for the Mets showing off tonight.
We need to get the 2 home runs, add up the distance, see what's going on here. Whatever they had for lunch today, Lucas and Ike have the same thing tomorrow.
Don't change it.
All they need to do is be put in an ice box for a week and then get thawed out. All's well. Bird gets tied up, and he stopped the swing in time. 1-2.
Well, there's the contact. Look at that. He's got that low ball swing like all left-handers, right on it. That's his wheelhouse.
And Bird strikes out for the second time. That's the second out of the inning.
So 2 out.
Coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night after the post game. Knicks get ready for the playoffs. The Rangers heading that way. And the Jets always have drama. Geico Sports Night tonight after the post game.
Why is that?
Their MO.
There's a lot of things that can happen when you're a nation. I'm telling you.
Well, especially when your coach is talking about scheduling baseball games in Baltimore.
That's right. That's right. They play 81 home games. Why don't they just play 80?
Here's Tejada, who's 0 for 3. By the way, I just saw a mention on the scoreboard. Sunday is your bobblehead day?
Yes. It's a big day.
Except you're not going to be here.
I am. Yeah, that's a little bit of a problem. But I do have family members coming, 35 strong, to get their bobblehead. People love the bobblehead. You know, they collect them, the whole thing.
Keith had his last year.
That's right.
It was a very popular item.
They're going to have you in a grass skirt doing a hula or something?
Maybe. Well, let's hope not.
Have you seen it?
I have seen it. It's
no skirt.
No skirt. Taken from the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Oh,
yeah, it's that same kind of picture. But
not GQ.
I'm glad that you weren't in charge of designing my bobblehead.
Are they going to have a Gary Cohen day one day? Sure they are.
Should live that long. Here's the 2-1, and Tejada slugs one out to left, but Harper's right there, and that retires the side. Well, in the 6th inning, Davis and Duda both hit home runs, and it felt so good they decided to do it again. Ike with his second of the night, his third of the year. Duda with his second of the night, his number 5. A 4-home run night for the big left-hand sluggers, and the Mets are up 7-1 going to the ninth. Changes for the Mets as we go to the ninth. Jordani Valdespin moves from center field to left field. Kirk Neuenhuis in to play center, and Bobby Parnell on to try and finish it off. 7-1 New York. Ian Desmond leads off in the ninth and takes a fastball for a strike.
Well, it's interesting when you have Bobby Parnell come in here and pitch the ninth, and he's not the hardest throw the Mets had tonight. 92 miles an hour in that first fastball.
Matt Harvey went 7, allowed a run on 4 hits, walked 3, and struck out 7. In line for his 4th win without a loss to begin the season, and a 0.93 ERA to go with it. And as the performances like that continue to pile up, the hype machine will continue to grow, not just on a local level but on a national level. And I thought it was interesting listening to Terry Collins' comments about that before the game, because a lot of times with a young player like a Matt Harvey, and we've seen it happen elsewhere, you try and mute the hype a little bit, just kind of try and tone it down, don't get too caught up in it. And Terry said, hey, we've got somebody special, we're proud of it, and if the hype machine grows, bring it on. And part of that is about knowing who your player is and his ability to handle that.
1964, the last time they had an all-star game in Flushing. I'm sure if you were a player in the Mets, that's your goal. Maybe Matt Harvey's goal.
I mean, I compare it to when Doc came up and there was an attempt to shield him from the media, but Doc was 19.
Yeah.
Matt is a very mature 24, and I think that makes a huge difference.
And I think he wants everything that goes along with it, you know.
To Desmond, and he just got a piece to stay in there. Desmond had one of the 4 hits against Harvey tonight. Scott Rice worked a 1-2-3-8. Nice job by Scott. And then the Mets tacked on 3 in the bottom of the 8th as Davis and Duda each hit their 2nd of the game to make this another non-save situation for Bobby Parnell. He's had a ton of those early in the year. 2-2. And Desmond drives one to center, and Neuenhuis ranges over and has to reach up to snag it. 1 away.
Well, he just broke in first and makes the recovery there nicely.
It's been a big night in the ballpark. Let's go to Kevin Burkharder's report, is brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Kevin?
You know, hopefully it came across on television, Gary, for those not here, but tonight, atmosphere outstanding. I mean, the rhythmic clapping on 2 strikes from the get-go, people in their seats early. I even noticed this after the pregame show tonight, walking around, there was a buzz, and it carried on throughout the game. You know, I think about the times here at Citi Field in its short existence. You know, R.A. Dickey starts second half last year, certainly had some steam, and the last start he made to win 20 was a huge crowd, and they were into it. The no-hitter clearly, but you know, more so the last 2 innings or so. It wasn't necessarily the beginning of that game. I think tonight's the best atmosphere Mets fans have had since 2008. That was the Santana torn meniscus game, second to last game of the year. I mean, this was electric tonight. Curious to see the next Matt Harvey start, how that one pans out.
Ground ball toward the middle, and Murphy with a diving knockdown. Does he have time? He does! Tremendous play by Murphy to get Chad Tracy for the 2nd out.
Well, watch Chad Tracy. He twisted himself out of that, almost sprained his ankle. And doesn't take anything away from the play here from Murph. Nice backhand. Good recovery. Long hop to your first baseman. Nice play.
Parnell appreciative. Nats down to their final out. Lombardozzi, a late swing foul. Lombardozzi 0 for 3, reached on Murphy's error in the 7th that created the toughest spot of the night for Matt Harvey, who then struck out Suzuki, got Bernardino on a foul pop, and got Span to ground out to finish his stint in fine fashion. Ball and a strike to Lombardozzi. Our next game on SNY will be Tuesday night, the opener of the series with the Dodgers. Our coverage begins Tuesday at 6 o'clock. We'll be back with you on Pix 11 on Sunday afternoon for the final game of this series at 1. Late swing, 1-2. Little dribbler, Parnell down off the mound, and the ball game is over. Matt Harvey wins his first test with Steven Strasburg. Another dominant performance for Harvey, who becomes the first 4-game winner in the majors. Davis and Duda each with a pair of home runs, and the Mets beat the Nats 7-1.
Well, on a night that the Mets hit 4 home runs, the story is Harvey. And the story is because he is just getting better and better. That inning with the bases loaded, his last inning, was as good as it gets. And, boy, his expectations of himself. Now, at the end of the day, Harvey was better tonight.
And what makes it even more of a wonderful night as far as the Mets are concerned is the 2 home runs from Davis and Duda. It was Davis, who's been struggling miserably, hit the 2 home runs, 3 RBI tonight. Duda hits 2 solo shots, so that's all big for the Mets.
Here's your game summary brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Harvey 4-0 with a 0.93 ERA. He allowed 4 hits. That's the most he's given up in a game this season as the Mets go back over 500 and defeat Strasburg for the first time as he falls to 1-3 on the season. For every Mets win, the Mets Foundation is proud to contribute $2,500 to the Cats Women's Hospital and the Cats Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit northshorelij.com/KIWH. This win brings the total contribution for the season to $20,000. Lots of smiles as the Mets come off. Matt Harvey gets his 4th win. The Mets get their first from the Nationals this year. We'll be back with more from Citi Field in a moment.